I just got back from the Karafuru Festival, and here is my honest take on the team, the festival, and whether or not this is actually a good project. Now, if you don't already know, the Karafuru Festival is basically like a 10-day event in Jakarta in Indonesia, where it's kind of like an open festival where Karafuru holders can travel there and hang out with other NFT people. But I would say that even 99% of the people that were there don't even have an NFT, so it's like something that is open to everybody, family friendly, but still pretty fun for anybody who is into NFTs. Now, before we talk about the festival itself, I think it's important to give you some context of how I even ended up there. Nobody paid me or asked me to make this video. I'm only doing it because I want to share my experiences with you guys. So these are truly going to be my honest opinions on going to and traveling to Jakarta and meeting all the founders and just telling you what's up. So to kind of tell you the story, you know, a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I made a video just covering Karafuru and giving my honest opinions. And then Jajo, who is one of the founders of Karafuru, he hit me up on Twitter. He was like, hey man, thanks for sharing your honest opinion. You coming to the festival? And I was like, it's kind of far because like I live in Vietnam, right? And I had to travel and quarantine in Jakarta just to go to this carnival. And then I was like, I don't really know. And so he was like, hey, you know, if you want to come, we'll sponsor you for your flight and hotel and, you know, let me know. So I thought about it. I was like, all right, let's just go and just see what happens. Maybe I'll learn something, maybe I won't, but no expectations, right? So I basically went there alone and I wasn't expecting anything. I was just maybe going to go there, take a picture with them, say what's up. That's all I was expecting. But my experience became so much more, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So basically I went to the festival by myself, but I was able to meet another person who held Karafuru, and Jajo also invited this person. His name's Pax. You might have seen him in the Karafuru Discord. He holds like a bunch of Karafurus and some legendary ones. We hang out with him and some of my friends. When we got to the festival, the first day, it wasn't super crowded. I think maybe throughout the whole day, they said like 15,000 people came, which is still a pretty good turnout on the first day because the other days were extremely crowded. The other days had like 40,000 people. You could like barely walk. I mean, it was crazy how many people there were. So basically what they did is like they rented out this popular area in Jakarta. It's kind of like Santa Monica in California, if you're familiar with that, by the ocean kind of thing. And they rented out the whole block, and then all the restaurants and stuff are already there, and everything is just like Karafuru themed. So they had like carnival games. They had those guys dressed up as Karafurus walking around. You can take pictures with them. You have merchandise stores, a lot of opportunities to win like merchandise and I think whitelist as well for that actual festival. And again, it's like 99% of the people that are coming here don't even have an NFT. So it's just like they heard it on Facebook or they heard it from a friend of a friend on social media. And then they were just like, hey, let's do something over the weekend. I'm really impressed with how many people came who don't own a Karafuru, but kind of just want to see what's up. And I think it's really powerful in onboarding new people into the space. And even for people who are into NFTs and they know who these people are, it's pretty fun because like the founders are just like accessible, right? Like they're just hanging out in front of the merchandise store. Anybody can come up, take a picture. They're not standoffish. They're just like regular, nice people who want to put together a good event. And they really showed with like how they, you know, interacted with everybody. They used to actually spend a lot of money to put together like the balloons, like these huge blow up balloons, like which are actually massive. They put it on the water, they put it in the sky, they put it everywhere, which is pretty sick. But the event itself is free, right? So you come in, enjoy, eat something at a restaurant or whatever, like it's free to enter. So, which is great for everybody actually. So like carnival games, you know, you can see this video of me, like this was on my first try. I played this game. I forgot how much I paid, but it's not that expensive and I want something on the first go. So they also had an anime cosplay competition, which was actually pretty sick. The way they kind of explained it to me was that they just said, hey guys, we're doing anime cosplay competition and the winner gets 1 Ethereum, just like 3K. They didn't really do any marketing for it. They just kind of put it out there and they had like 70 people register. And like these guys went so hard to like deck out their swords and their clothes, like real deal, like anime cosplay competition. And it's just like natural. It wasn't even like that planned. It was just like lightning in the bottle kind of moment where they put out an event. They say, hey, this is what we have. Come if you want. And literally like tens of thousands of people are coming every single day without any like paid advertising. I think it's just like word of mouth and stuff like that. So I think it's really something special that they created in Jakarta. And they also have a lot of merchandise, and we'll talk about like the merch and their business around that, but this is one of the shirts that I got. I would say it's probably the best one that I was able to buy. So pretty sick. The quality of the clothing, pretty high quality because they come from a streetwear background. So, you know, they've been making clothes for a long time and they're just applying this into the NFT space. This one's still cool, not as cool as the other one I showed you, but I bought a bunch of stuff, right? So you see the little plushie over there, you see the little skate deck over there, which, you know, I'm not gonna put wheels on it, I'm just gonna put it on the wall. They have a lot of good merch, high quality merch, I would say. So it's not like some cheap random t-shirt and just slap something on it. The actual fabric is like good weight, feels good. Really impressed with the merchandise. It's basically like a streetwear brand at that point. So now we talk about like the surface level of like, you know, the event, it's kind of successful. They got this and that, they got merchandise, but like, what about the team, right? Because for me personally, what I was looking to get out of the entire trip was not necessarily to hang out at the festival, but to get to know the team, to understand like, how do they run their business? What is their vision? What are they doing? How do they do it? For me as a content creator, I'm always interested in learning about these things so I can share it with you guys, right? And also as I work on my own project, I want to know like how they're, you know, being successful and what their vision. Here are the things I want to share with you. I guess you would call it alpha, but really it's just me getting to know them as people. So like I said before, Jejo invited me, and I wasn't expecting much. They're busy running the festival, so I don't really expect them to spend time with me. But actually, they made a lot of time for me and Pax as well. They really showed us around and spent the time and energy to do that, right? So like over the past few days, we did like bowling, dinners, freaking going to karaoke, playing poker late at night. So we're doing like all these random things, and we really just got to know them as friends, to be honest. Even went to like their house and like just see like how they're living and their family and stuff like that. Quite a personal experience, I would say, which is really good. Like the founders are pretty successful like before Karafuru. So it's not like they actually need the money from Karafuru to live a comfortable life. I think they're already more than good on that front. For my personal opinion, I feel like they're building Karafuru out of passion, right? This is just something, they're already business people and they love to build businesses. Why not build something that you're very passionate about, which is like that streetwear, NFT, clothing, like all kind of things and encompassed in one package. So I can see definitely like they are very passionate about building Karafuru for the long term. All the individuals I've met, they're really nice, pretty down to earth. Even though they're pretty somewhat successful, they're not like acting like, oh my God, I'm so cool, I'm a crypto whale or whatever, right? They're just really nice, regular people, and I really respect that. Like for example, we were doing karaoke, everyone's singing, having a good time, and Jejo was on his phone. He's singing some songs, and he's like, okay, now I gotta go on Twitter and like respond to people, DM people, do business development stuff. I'm like, damn, dude, this guy's like working pretty hard, even though we're at karaoke, right? You definitely just feel the work ethic from them, and you know, everyone else works pretty hard as well. So it's not just Jejo. So definitely respect that. We understand that the Karafuru team's nice people, but let's go into competency, right? Like skill set. Are they really gonna be the ones that like build a brand for the long term? I think what Karafuru's advantage is that they're really good at Web 2 and Web 3, where like, you know, some of the guys are really specialized in like streetwear, creating product, creating events, which is like the Web 2 world, and they have relationships with obviously Atmos, Hypebeast, and like all the other like big sneaker, streetwear kind of companies, right? And then the other side of Karafuru is like very Web 3. They understand like crypto, tokens, tokenomics, how to sell an NFT, like, you know, so they have like different people who are specialized in their own skill sets, and they kind of come together. So if you think about it, Karafuru launched pretty recently, like less than 2 months ago, right? But how are they able to put together an event at the end of like 10 days, probably like hundreds of thousands of people will come to this thing? How can they do that so quickly if they're an NFT company? And it's because they already have experience doing all these events and working with these sponsors and everything like that. It just happens so fast because they already been doing this for so long. Now it's just an extension of that into NFT. So, you know, a lot of people like to say like, oh, we're bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3, but most people aren't really doing anything, right? I think this is a team that has the resume or like past experience to actually truly do that. And we've seen this event, like who else is doing an event like this? When you talk about like who are the stakeholders of Karafuru, it's actually a lot of people involved. There's a Museum of Toys, which is like a legitimate company which, you know, stands behind them. And there are other companies that also have invested in Karafuru as well. So it's not like a couple of guys who have no business experience, you know, launching an NFT. It's like we're talking companies come together and individuals come together to create like, it's essentially an NFT startup in my eyes. So it's not like a random just picture or JPEG. It's like they're really thinking of this like a real legitimate startup with high growth potential. And I do really respect that because, you know, they have more of a long-term vision versus just like a quick cash grab, like let's say other projects. And even when we're talking about like their collaboration with Atmos and Hypebeast, right? Like you got to understand that Hypebeast is huge, right? Hypebeast is like one of the drivers of like narrative when it comes to like streetwear, fashion, art, and especially for a certain demographic. So if you look at, let's say Atmos, right? I'm not sure if I got the exact right numbers, but Atmos revenue in 1 year is like 175 million. Hypebeast is like 96 million. These are like $100 million companies collaborating with Karafuru to create this 3D project, right? So you bet they're gonna put a lot of resources behind these projects because if the NFT fails, they look extremely bad for like putting out something that fails, right? I think a lot of energy and money and resources are being put into all these projects. And I guess that's the alpha for the 3D aspect of things. Here's my personal take. It's not like they told me to say this or this is like their official vision and this could completely change like next week. Karafuru, I feel like they're going to try to dominate the event spaces for NFTs. So if you look at, let's say ComplexCon, right? Like before ComplexCon came out, which is like a convention for people who are into sneakers and stuff like that, there wasn't really another convention that I was excited to go to. And I actually went to the first ever ComplexCon. And I found that, you know, there wasn't many conferences I can go to talk about like streetwear stuff or like, you know, like what's cool. And I think Karafuru has a shot at doing that for the NFT space and getting into like the anime space, the streetwear space, hip hop, kind of see that all being encompassed in the Karafuru brand. So moving forward, if they are able to do events like what they did in Jakarta, but like even bigger and better in like Japan or the US or Singapore or wherever there's an appetite for people who are into like these kind of like intellectual properties and like IP and NFTs, I think it can be like a global brand that has events all over the world. Now, does that take a lot of work and execution to actually pull off? Absolutely. That's why there's so many stakeholders and like these large companies like Hypebeast and Atmos coming together to do this because a small team like of 4 people can't do it alone. And I think they recognize that, and that's why they have so many stakeholders into this project because they really have a huge vision that I can see them doing. So when they're doing these kind of events in like, let's say if they do it in Japan or they do it in the US, you have to understand that the brands that want to be at these events and sponsor it is actually huge, right? Like we're talking like G-Shock, Casio, right? Casio is a huge company, Nike, Adidas, any other like big streetwear, sneaker kind of brand. They're gonna want to be at these events because they want to sell more product, they want to create branding, right? So Karafuru as a revenue source, like they can sell merchandise, yeah. They can make money from royalties, yeah. They can sell sponsorships to these companies that want to have like brand sponsorships at their events because they have a budget for that, right? So it's like these companies are going to spend money every single quarter on something. So Karafuru is just saying like, hey guys, we're doing a great event. Do you want to, be a sponsor for us? So it's actually a pretty easy sell, right? Especially because what other like NFT conferences or events are similar to Karafuru in that particular niche? There's really not that many, right? Or I can't even think of it on top of my head, like maybe zero at this moment. I think they're going to be able to like get a lot of those budgets and have that money funnel into them to do these events, right? Because it does cost a lot of money to do the events, but if you're able to get that revenue from the sponsorships, well, it makes it all worth it. Now, even with that said, right, the team is great. They're nice people, pretty humble. They have a lot of the right stakeholders. They're putting a lot of energy and resources to build a long-term project. I can see all those things. It kind of checks all the boxes, right? But there's always risk to every NFT that you buy, right? So it's not like just because they check all the boxes, it doesn't mean it's a guaranteed hit. Just to be transparent, I do hold Karafuru NFTs, so just keep that in mind. But like there's always risk, right? So like for example, if they do an event in Japan and it's not good, then that kind of puts a speed bump on their roadmap, right? Or like in terms of their traction. There's always risk that it doesn't work. There's always a risk that the art doesn't translate to other areas, or maybe it can only get so big and it kind of caps out. But in my opinion, if you were just looking at like team and partnerships and execution alone, for me, they personally check all the boxes. Now it's just, can they continue to execute on a long-term basis and have these events all around the world and get people excited about NFTs and onboard new people into their NFT ecosystem to increase the floor price and all of that. But because they already have past business experience, it makes me more comfortable holding a Karafuru, right? Because it's not like a first-time founder. And in my eyes, they are definitely much more of a long-term project compared to other projects that I've seen. It doesn't mean like the price is gonna explode to like 50 ETH or anything. Maybe good, but like I can see like if they're really consistent in creating great art, creating great moments and events, then I feel like they can be an industry leader in that particular niche. But again, it's all about execution and we'll have to see what they do in the long term. But for me, I'm pretty bullish. Could the price like completely sink? Absolutely. So do your own research. That's just my personal take. If you're thinking about buying Karafuru, here's my personal take about entry and exit, because I know a lot of you guys want to know my opinion on that. So right now the price is 2.13, which is not bad during like an NFT bear-ish kind of period. And maybe things will get bull in April, but remains to be seen. If you get a Karafuru, let's say a floor for like, 1.8 to like 2.1, 2.2, I would say that's a pretty fair entry price because the lows of the floor has been like, around 2 Ethereum. I think kind of holds there. And if it goes lower, like there are people willing to buy Karafuru at that price. If you want to be a long-term hoarder, it's not a bad entry price and just to hold it for the long term. If you want to kind of flip it, because when they drop the 3D projects, price obviously will probably increase, no guarantees, because people want to get the whitelist mints for the, Hypebeast Atmos collaboration. You can sell it right before people mint the new project and then you kind of just ride that pump. But, personally for me, I feel like it's worth it to just mint the collaboration because it's like Atmos and Hypebeast. These are like pretty big companies in streetwear, so I want to hold their 3D projects, and I like Karafuru myself, so I want to hold them, especially because I met the team, right? So maybe I'm a little biased, but like I would want to just hold it for the long term and just like keep it there and just like see what happens, because I think their long-term future looks pretty good. But it really is up to you and your strategy and how much liquidity you have. But yeah, 1.8 to like 2.2, I think that's the range I would try to look for. And if you want to like get it for cheap, then just like make a bunch of offers to people, see if they accept it. And so that's gonna be everything when it comes to the Karafuru Carnival and my personal take on it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, because I'm going to be releasing new information about the Parallax NFT that is coming out. So make sure to join Discord for that, and I will see you guys in the next one.